full circle. A close win over nearby Fort Walton Beach, followed by decisive victories over Lake City, Columbia, and Lakeland. And now they're back home to play for the title. It's Southridge High from Miami against Pensacola Woodham as the Lorimar Sports Network presents the 1984 Florida 4A High School Championship.
Today's Florida 4A High School Football Championship. Brought to you by Coca-Cola USA. For big refreshment, Coke is it. And by Gulf Oil. Where at Gulf, everything we do makes driving better for you.
Titan Field, Pensacola High School, Pensacola, Florida, capacity crowd on hand for the Florida 4A High School Football Championship. Hello, everybody. I'm Dave Reed. Welcome to Pensacola. Well, if you're not a high school football fan, we think after watching this game, you might be. Florida high school football gets better every year, and these two teams certainly exemplify the finest in high school football around the state. If you do follow high school football, we think you're going to find this telecast special because the talent you see in this field is something you're probably not used to. Both these teams have been in the playoffs before. Pensacola Woodham in 1982 won the state 4A championship. Miami Southridge, a 27-21 loser to Bradenton Manatee in last year's game. This year, both these teams have a combined record of 24-1. Good football teams. Along with me, Larry Ward. And these two guys, these two teams, have a lot of similarities, both offensively and defensively.
They'll run the ball a lot this afternoon. Woodham with a wishbone or a partial wishbone type of running formation. A slot eye for Southridge. And you'll certainly see not only the running, but the speed of defense on both sides of the fence. It's the masters of the universe, as it were, against the Three Musketeers.
Don Sharper's 49-7 since coming to Pensacola High School. He turned this program around. We asked him what he felt he had to do in order to win this football game this afternoon.
First of all, we can't turn the ball over on offense. We've got to make sure that defensively we don't give them a big play. When the kicking time comes, we can't afford to give them a big play on the kicking game. So that's all three areas of the game that are very important to us. They have two great running backs, and they can break one at any time. So that's part of the game. We've got to stop that.
Don Sharp speaks the truth. Rodney Hunter and Roman Nelson for Southridge, two of the best backs in all of the state of Florida.
These are two Division I prospect backs, and indicative of the college coaches on hand. Galen Hall from the University of Florida, Pat Dye from Auburn on hand to watch the likes of these two running backs. They have excellent speed, and consequently, if they can get through the rush of the Woodham defense, you'll find them down the field in a blink of an eyelash.
Jerry Hughes is in his third year at Miami Southridge. As a defensive coordinator last year, he took over the head coaching reins, and he has done a marvelous job leading Southridge to the state championship for the second year. He has a ball club that is much more experienced than it has been in past seasons. On the offensive line, they call them the masters of the universe, along with Hunter and Nelson, two good teams. We asked him what he felt he had to do in order to beat Woodham.
Well, we're going to just have to come out and do what we do best. You know, our running game is the best phase of our offense. Our defense is our speed, and we're just going to have to, once again, come out, run the football, throw when we have to do throw and to keep people honest, and then just make it an errorless football game because we can't allow mistakes in a game like this.
Defensively, Pensacola Woodham is one of the best. A less than 150-yard a game average, a good, solid defensive unit led by the secondary.
Look for Washington and Watkins. Those are the two primary tacklers. Out of the corners, again, two Division I prospects. Look for Dearden, a converted running back on the defensive line, and look for Gaddy as a linebacker to help plug up the middle to keep that speed of Southridge from getting further and getting across the goal line.
Two well-matched football teams. The Florida 4A High School Championship. We'll be back with a kickoff. Don't go away. Stay with us.
Get it all at Banner Builder Supply. We can provide everything you need to build a home. There's no reason to go all over town looking for building materials. Just make the Banner companies your only stop. With Banner Truss and Component, Banner Energy and Insulation, and Banner Block and Cement products, in addition to our main location, we have what you need when you need it. For quality, convenience, and a reputation of professionalism, get it all at Banner Builder Supply and Home Center. Turn east at 4100 North Palafox. Phone 438-3113 in Pensacola.
If you're buying a new home, there's one way to be sure it's airtight.
We should have bought a Good Sense home.
One way to be sure it's got high-efficiency air conditioning.
We should have bought a Good Sense home.
And be sure it's got high-efficiency heating and installation.
We should have bought a Good Sense home.
Because only Good Sense homes, apartments, and condominiums are certified by Gulf Power to keep you comfortable every day and save money on utility bills every month.
We should have bought a Good Sense home.
Southridge is going to be booting it away to Pensacola Woodham, and back deep for the Titans of Pensacola. KERRY, Watkins, and Sherman Salisbury. Low kick. It'll be taken up by Watkins. 20, 25. Watkins with a big hole, and Watkins on his way. St. Kim, the kicker, the only man to try and stop him. Goodbye. That's 6 for Pensacola. Runs a 4.5 40-yard dash, and you saw evidence of it, a 97-yard kickoff return, and what a way to start off a championship football game.
Well, you can't deny the fact that the Woodham fans have a great opportunity from the very opening kickoff to celebrate in fine style as the confetti's already filing. You wait flying, you wait for the point after.
Jeff Fairchild to boot it, Krasnowski to hold it, up to the uprights and good. This ball game is all of 12 seconds old, and Pensacola is out to a 7-0 lead, and the partisan Titan crowd absolutely delirious right now.
This is nothing new for Watkins. In the playoffs, he ran a kickoff back on an opening kickoff right from the get-go, and it put the Woodham Titans not only up by a quick margin, but it put them to a 21-0 point halftime lead. Now they had to battle in the second half. As you'll see, he'll find a little tiny seam at the far hash mark. Gets a good block there to bring it. It's wide open. He breaks his own tackle and then just sprints for the sideline. Sang Kim, the kicker, the last man to have a chance at him, and it was too far gone. Watkins already up the sidelines and 6 points.
So lightning strikes quickly at Pensacola High School. 12 seconds. You can't strike too much more quickly than that. Fairchild will boot it away for Pensacola, and it will be Jeff Richardson, a linebacker for Miami Southridge on a return. Richardson gets across the 20, 25-yard line, and he's down there. So Southridge will start things off from about their own 24-yard line, an offensive unit most potent, the leading offensive unit in all of Dade County. As you see, number 3 coming into the ball game, Pat Young, only 5'6", 150-pounder, good sprint-out quarterback.
Wouldn't you have liked to see a kickoff return for a touchdown going the other way, just to set this game up in a high-tension situation?
So Pat Young, your quarterback, give us off to the fullback, Rodney Hunter. And you can see the moves that Hunter's got. Hunter, 8, 9, 10 yards, and a first down for Miami Southridge. This is going to be a lot of offense in this football game. Victor Durden on the stop for Pensacola Woodham. An offensive line they call the Masters of the Universe. Touted as the best line throughout the state of Florida for Southridge. Average size about 210 pounds, and they are good. Young, Hunter, Smith, we talked about. Nelson, Walker, and Dwight George, primarily blockers. Southridge does not throw the football a lot, and neither does Pensacola Woodham. First down, 10, Southridge, 35-yard line. This is a big guy, Roman Nelson. And Nelson stacked up as he gets to the line of scrimmage. Robert Gaddy, number 44, 6 foot, 180 pounds, senior on the stop for Woodham. Andrus Durden, Boyd, Burrell, Bo Rivs, we talked about. Linebackers, Jeff DeWeese, Robert Gaddy, good, solid players. And the secondary, probably the best, led by Watkins and Preston Washington. Your cornerbacks, the 2 leading tacklers on this Woodham defensive unit. Gain of 2 on the play, second down, 8, Southridge, ball at the 37-yard line. Young on a long count. Give us off to Nelson. Nelson breaks through 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles, and Nelson down to the 45-yard line.
And you notice the stunt that time by DeWeese and Gaddy, and The linebackers and the corners will be on a stunt most of the time, and that time it did not work. They started to put him in jail, and then quickly out of jeopardy and picking up the yardage, getting close to that first down. Straight up the middle, had he been able to keep his feet a little bit better, he might have found his way out into the open.
Roman Nelson was all-Dade County first team. No questions asked about that one. First down 10, Southridge. This is Rodney Hunter. Hunter at 5'7", 185 pounds, is wrapped up by Mike O'Daniel as he crosses the line of scrimmage for about 2 yards on the play. That'll be a first down for the Southridge Spartans. Rodney Hunter, probably the best second back in all of the state of Florida. He was second team all-county. A lot of people said that he should be first team along with Roman Nelson. Hunter, 604 yards during the regular season on 106 carries. Not a bad pass receiver either. 9:31 to go first quarter. Southridge on a move. First down. Nelson around the left side. Nelson gets it down in midfield, and Robert Gaddy, the #1 tackler on the team for Pensacola Woodham. 51 solos, 48 assists, and 3 sacks coming into the ball game.
You add it up, that's almost a century of tackles. That's 99 tackles on the year. And it's not that often that you'll find an individual, and especially a linebacker, and one of the reasons that he has that many tackles is because of the stunts that Woodham will do. And if you'll notice throughout the middle, they'll crisscross. The linebackers will cross, or the linebacker will drop back, and a cornerback comes up on a stunt.
Pat Young does not throw a lot. He prefers to get it off to this man, Rodney Hunter. And Hunter all the way down to the 35-yard line. And Miami Southridge just chewing up yardage. 8 to 9-yard chunks. Gaddy in there along with Jeff Deweese for Woodham. So Southridge started this drive on their own 25-yard line and moved it down to the Pensacola 36. First down 10. Jerry Hughes, in his third year at Miami Southridge, had an adjustment to make. He was the defensive coordinator under Don Solinger last year, who has since moved on to the University of Miami. He had some changes, and he's done them well. This is Roman Nelson down to the 30-yard line. So there's a flag in the defensive secondary, and that indicates usually some sort of motion in the offensive backfield. KERRY Watkins on the stop of Nelson that time. There's going to be unsportsmanlike conduct
against the defense.
Ron Gilbert, Don Warner, Roy Burdine, Lynn Trevette, all your officials. Name here is not a guy about
he is here, but we're not quite sure where.
He's the bogus guy. He's
we'll
just kind of
find
hanging around somewhere.
He's wearing stripes out there.
So they will move the ball back to the 35-yard line. And Southridge will get set to try it again. Capacity crowd on hand here at Titan Field. Another high school football championship game going on this evening. Escambia is playing St. Petersburg at 7:30 tonight, right here in this same town.
You can just about throw a rock from here to the other stadium. You don't have to send it airmail at all.
And you can bet they're loving it here in Pensacola. First time ever that 2 state championship games have been played in the same city. All 4 state championship games are being played in this 3-county area this year. So good year for the Panhandle. 8:10 to go, first quarter. And Southridge with a 1st and 10. They run the counter play to Lee Smith. Smith, the slot back in Jerry Hughes' scheme of things. They try and use that counter play to take the pressure off of Roman Nelson, Larry Ward.
Indeed, they do. Scott Andrews, however, that time smelled it out very well. As the counter comes around, Andrews just stands his ground, and he's waiting, wrapping up the feet to keep it from going any further. But you'll notice the defense of Woodham. When one guy starts to make a tackle, 5 others are right on the carrier.
Gain of 2 on the play, 2nd down and 8. Smith goes in motion right side. Pitch comes to Roman Nelson. He's got some big guys out in front of him. If he can turn the corner, he's going to go a long way. He does. Nelson inside the 5-yard line. And down to the 4-yard line, it'll be 1st and goal for Miami Southridge.
Kerry Watkins finally chased him out of bounds, right around that 2 or 3, it looks like. Watch the block, but watch the hesitation. It looked like he wanted to reverse field there for just a moment. Giles Ratty providing the block to springing Nelson outside on the 14-yard run.
They'll mark it at the 5-yard line, and now Pat Young a little bit confused as Lee Smith will trot out of the ball game, and they'll bring in a 2nd tight end, that being Robert Johnson. Look for Hunter. This is he. He doesn't get there.
There's the stunt. They plug the hole, guess the hole, use the stunt with the linebackers. And once in a while, they're going to get burned on that with the cornermen and the linebackers. However, that time, it worked to perfection.
Clifford Wiggins, 5'9", 185-pound senior, blitzing from the safety position, and this is something that Don Sharp does a lot.
58 tackles on the year. How many corner men do you know have that many tackles on the season?
Well, his running mate, KERRY Watkins, has the same amount. 2nd down and 7. Loss of 2 on the play. Smith in motion. Young wants to throw. Flag in the offensive backfield. They try to get it outside to Nelson, and it's intercepted. Woodham.
There's a dandy grab. Let's see what the penalty is all about, but a dandy grab for KERRY Watkins.
That's his 2nd interception of the year, his 1st in the playoffs. The penalty goes against Southridge for motion. Woodham has a football, and they're going to spot it right on the 1-yard line.
Well, unless you get down to the 2-inch line, you can't get any closer to your own goal line than that.
7-0 our score. 6:42 to go in the first quarter. And Pensacola Woodham deep in their own territory. Don't go away. We're coming back.
To dribble from New York to L.A., you've got to have a dream.
Converse. Go for more. Reach. Reach for the stars. Reach for Converse.
Converse, the official athletic shoe of the 1984 Olympic Games.
During this Yule season, you'll feel excitement in the air at Daniels Ellis Diamond Company. It's their first pre-Christmas sale now in progress. You'll find quality jewelry gift specials. A carat diamond cluster, regularly $13.99, now just $699. And during Daniels Ellis pre-Christmas sale, all gold chains are 55% off. Pendants, earrings, and pearl jewelry, 1/3 off. A wide selection of diamond, ruby, and emerald cluster rings from $69 to $99. Shop where Santa shops during Daniels Ellis Diamond Company's pre-Christmas sale.
Football. That is an official USFL football we're using in this playoff, and I want you to know that.
Looks familiar.
Well, it's oblong and it's got laces on it. Wishbone attack. Charlie Krasnowski, your quarterback for Pensacola Woodham. They line it up in a full house backfield. They're just going to try and grind this thing out, but they're not going to do it this time because the whistle's going to stop play. Ball went off to Caesar Jones for about half a yard, and Woodham is indicating the penalty is going to go against Southridge, and that's going to get him out of the hole.
Well, in studying films all week long, Coach Don Sharp pointed out that Southridge will sometimes have a tendency to hang on to the offensive line a little bit longer than necessary. However, this particular time, they just lined up offside.
Again, the full house backfield. Instead of 1st and 10, you got 1st and 5. Charlie Krasnowski, your quarterback, gives off to Sherman Salisbury. Salisbury gets 1, maybe 2 on the play, and that's really about it. They'll run that wishbone. They will break the bone. They'll do all sorts of sets against you. The Hogs, they call this Woodham offensive line, and a big one it is. Chris Bromley is Phil Bromley's brother, the All-American University of Florida. A good, solid offensive line for Pensacola Woodham. The strength of that team. The wishbone backfield, Salisbury, Jones, Hawkins, all rushed for about 600 yards this year. 2nd down. This time they give us off to Jason Hawkins. Say hello to Alex Garcia from Miami Southridge. Garcia at 6'2", 205 pounds, a senior, a veteran defensive unit for Miami Southridge, a team that returned most of its starters from last year. Southridge defensive line, Ferguson. Clarington's the guy to watch out for. He's the all-county performer. Eddie Morales at the nose guard, also a good one. Linebackers for Southridge, also very tough, and Garcia and Jeff Richardson. Woodham has moved it across the 10 to the 11-yard line, and they do have the 1st down. Scoreboard not operating as far as downs go, so we'll try and estimate as best we can by using chains. Full house backfield again for Charlie Krasnowski. Fake is up the middle. Krasnowski on the keeper. Gain of about 2 on the play before Jeff Richardson, who Jerry Hughes says is his best overall athlete, makes the stop for Miami Southridge. Charlie Krasnowski, the quarterback, learned to play football just sitting on the blocks and throwing footballs to his friends. And Don Sharp, who was living in the same neighborhood at the time, used to go by and marvel at how he would just continually throw footballs, and he's developed into a very fine quarterback. Linebackers for Southridge, Garcia, Ziegler, Richardson, Noah Williams, all very fine linebackers for the Southridge Spartans. 2nd down, call it about 7 for Pensacola. Give us up the middle, Caesar Jones. And Jones down to the 22-yard line, close to a Pensacola Woodham first down if he doesn't have it already. Secondary having to make the stops for Miami Southridge. Preston Waters, the safety man, on a stop. First down, Pensacola.
If it looks like that Pensacola, as you'll see the replay here, had plenty of room, plenty of hole, but if it looks like they're in a disarray prior to coming to the line to set up their offense, they don't huddle. There are 5 coaches on the sidelines. 5 coaches give the backs, linemen, ends, and receivers. They tell each one what they're going to do.
Give us up the gut, and Southridge will have no part of that one. Garcia in there along with Jeff Richardson once again for Southridge.
So you'll see the coaches on the sideline from time to time. All 5 will huddle. Those aren't the coaches at all, but
maybe the players.
They'll huddle every once in a while. The coaches will huddle, get together, and rather than running a player in and out, a running back or what have you, or a wide receiver.
There you see it.
They'll get together. They flash each individual sign to each of the different group of players. They go from there. They don't use a huddle at all.
We'll amplify on that in just a moment. Second down and 7. Krasnowski gives off to Caesar Jones again, and Jones has been the workhorse. Jones drags a couple of Spartans down to the 35-yard line. Got a good block from Salisbury that time. Alex Garcia there once again for Miami Southridge. And that's another Pensacola first down. So Woodham started this drive on a one-yard line. Watch the blocking on the front line.
It's just a little bit of a veer off guard and straight up. If you want to use the old cliche, a little plain vanilla.
First down, 10, Woodham. Krasnowski gives off to Jones. Jones runs into Chris Bromley, his own center, and a host of Miami Southridge tacklers, led by number 51, Alex Garcia once again. Caesar Jones, 667 yards. Look at the average, though. All of these guys average about 6 yards a carry. Caesar Jones, Jason Hawkins, Sherman Salisbury, the 3 Musketeers, as they call them. They've been labeled that by Don Sharp. They don't really make a big deal out of it, but the coach thinks it's something that excites them a little bit because they're all juniors. They all played on the JV last year. They all came up together. Now they break the bone. Give us up the middle to Caesar Jones, and Garcia is there to wrap him up, but Jones with a good chunk of yardage, about 8 on the play, down to the 45-yard line. So Woodham will look at a 3rd down and 1. And maybe a little bit less than that.
Preston Waters, Alex Garcia teaming up to make the tackle on the play. Well, it's fun to watch the 3 Musketeers. They're all so close and have been close for quite a few years. They almost all 3 wear the same shoes and tie the laces together as close as they are. And you'll notice they spread the touchdowns around. There's 23 touchdowns between those 3 backs, so they all get equal duty.
3rd down 1 as the sun comes out at Titan Stadium. Pitches out, and a first down for Jason Hawkins of Pensacola Woodham. Hawkins gets it down inside Southridge territory, 42-yard line. Joe Ziegler, Preston Waters on the stop for the Spartans. This offensive unit is a sight to behold. They don't throw the football a lot. Charlie Krasnowski, a very efficient passer when he does throw, passes for about 65% completions, but they don't have to throw the football a lot. They only throw when they see the defense keying on the running backs more than they feel like they should. Charlie White is in the ball game as a wide receiver. He's split down to the near side. Pitch out on the counter, goes to Charlie White. White's got some running room, gets around one man, breaks it outside, and nailed it at the 30-yard line. Preston Waters and Ziegler there combining on the stop. Had they not been there, that was 6 more for Woodham. The best athlete on the football team, says Don Sharp of Charlie White.
And watch the delayed block. Number 83, Mike Lewis, really makes this play possible because he's blocking the end or the corner on the outside. Look at a delayed block to give him a little extra time, trying to break it outside. He picked up another 5 yards thanks to Mr. Mike Lewis.
Minute 22 to go in a rapidly moving first quarter. Woodham started his drive on our 1-yard line. Krasnowski's going to throw. Looks to the outside, got a man. Inside the 20 and down to the 18-yard line. Robert Marshall.
That's Robert Marshall with 4.5 speed. And you know this year, Dave, on any pass that the receivers have touched this year, they have not dropped a pass. Marshall with his 10 receptions. And any time that they have touched the ball this year, they have just not dropped it. If they can get to it, touch it, they're going to catch it and do something with it. Marshall that time really was pursued magnificently by Jeff Richardson. So he had no room to get upfield any further. What a first down. Put that in your book.
just inside the 20-yard line. Krasnoski, Jones inside a 15, 14-yard line, and Woodham just getting yardage in chunks. A very conservative, well-moving drive. It's funny, when you talk about Pensacola, the offensive and the defensive units are two entirely different personalities. The offensive unit, a very mundane type. The defensive unit, absolutely wild. Krasnoski, as we say, does not throw the ball a lot, but look at the efficiency. 10 touchdowns out of 36 pass completions. That's about 1 out of every 3.5. When he throws the football, something usually happens. Krasnoski will keep it himself and turn the corner and get nowhere. Krasnoski down at about the 12-yard line. And Krasnoski. Krasnoski gets it inside the 15-yard line. And that is the end of the first quarter. For our local affiliates, we will be going to position 4. We will make up position 3 later on in the telecast. That is the end of the first quarter, and Woodham is impressive. And in front of Southridge, 7-0. We're coming back.
Florida High School Activities Association is composed of 547 public and non-public junior and senior high schools in the state of Florida. It was organized in 1920 by a group of high school principals who saw the necessity for adequate supervision of the rapidly expanding interscholastic athletic program. Today, the association assures that the policies, standards, and regulations developed by school leaders are designed to provide maximum educational benefits for every student in every member school.
New Year's Day, January 1st, 1985. Join Tony Roberts and Fran Kersey when the Mutual Radio Network presents the 51st Annual Sugar Bowl live from New Orleans. The Tigers of LSU and the Nebraska Cornhuskers are live and on your radio New Year's Day. It's a gift to you from all of us at the Mutual Broadcasting System and our family of affiliates. May your holidays be filled with joy.
Hammond Brace and Limb is Pensacola's leader in orthotic and prosthetic devices. John Hammond is a nationally certified prosthetist, and he and his staff are specialists in the manufacture of orthopedic appliances, custom made on the premises. They are an accredited facility, and they carry a wide selection of orthopedic shoes and sports orthotics. Conveniently located near West Florida Hospital at 2335 Klinger Street, Hammond Brace and Limb. Phone 478-0875.
For your Christmas shopping, Daniel Zellis' new store is a must for your gift list. Their beautiful new showroom is the largest on the Gulf Coast and has more than 1,100 lighting fixtures to choose from. Daniel Zellis has a fixture for any room in your home and for any decor. See lighting fixtures from the simple wall light to the beautiful and elegant LED crystal chandeliers. This year, be a happy Santa and shop Daniel Zellis for your lamps, mirrors, hanging and wall fixtures, and give a lasting gift from Daniel Zellis, the Gulf Coast lighting dealer.
Dave Reed along with Larry Ward as we get set to start the second quarter from Titan Field. Pensacola Woodham on the move. 3rd down and 4, Miami Southridge. 12-yard line. We'd like once again to remind our local affiliates we will be making up position 3. That will be the first position here in the second quarter. That's our first position. 3rd down 4. Pensacola, they line it up in a full house backfield once again. Big down for Miami Southridge. Salisbury goes in motion to the right side. Krasnoski pitches out. Hawkins, first down and a lot more. Hawkins inside the 5-yard line. And Hawkins is nailed by Edmund Holloman, the kamikaze defensive back from Miami Southridge. But Pensacola Woodham, first down and goal. Hawkins about the same numbers as his counterparts, but again, look at the average, 7.5 yards a carry. Whenever those guys carry the football, they eat up a chunk of yardage.
You wonder when you see a back like a Salisbury go in motion, you know darn good well most often he's going to look for as a receiver. However, that time he goes in motion, he throws the key block that gets him down inside the 5-yard line to set up a goal situation.
Everybody inside. Hawkins nailed and fumble, and Southridge has got it. Back, Preston Waters, who fell on a football. And Southridge averts disaster, but they're going to be deep in their own territory also.
5 145 pounds, and he hits like he's 200 pounds, and he's in on the bottom of the pile, scrambling for the football to come up with it. So Southridge starts the second quarter, as Woodham started the first of this game with a big break. Now Southridge has a big break.
This is Rodney Hunter. Hunter bounces off of one tackler, goes to the outside, bounces off another. You talk about balance. Wow. 3 guys hit him, and they still couldn't bring him down. KERRY Watkins, the guy who finally brought him down. Hunter is a good size back, a Division I prospect, but Jerry Hughes feels like the size of Rodney Hunter may hurt him. Says he may not be quite big enough, although he certainly does have the moves and can play Division I college ball. That size factor may hurt him eventually. Dwight George comes out as a wide receiver near side. Hunter with a gain of 3 for his efforts. Hunter again. Say hello to Scott Andrus.
Although Woodham put on a pretty good sustained drive through the latter part of that first quarter and finally fumbled the football inside the 5-yard line. Both these teams are starting now to butt heads. Right up front, it's a brick wall to brick wall. And sooner or later, somebody's going to have to try to sprint it out or start a passing game of some kind to break up the monotony of going head-to-head in this game. And it's before too long, even though he's less than a 40% passer, Pat Young is going to have to spring loose with something.
He will this time on 3rd and 7. Fakes to Nelson, going to keep it himself, trying to turn the corner down to the 15-yard line, and that should be enough for a Southridge first down. They'll mark it at the 16, and the sticks are moved. Yes, it is a first down by about half a yard. Pat Young runs the football more than he throws it. He's just a little guy, 5'6", 150-pound junior, and Jerry Hughes calls him a Doug Flutie type. He's got another quarterback, this Jerry Hughes, who's in his 3rd year, and Al Darling. Al Darling, a better drop-back passer than Pat Young, and they complement each other very, very well. First down, 10 Spartan, busted play. Nelson comes out of the backfield, turns the corner. Nelson, 30, 35. Look at him take off. Nelson with 4.5 speed. Down to the 45-yard line, and had Clifford Wiggins not got the ankle, that was 6 points for the Spartans, but there's a flag in the backfield. Some confusion back there, and I think they're going to bring that one back.
Clifford Wiggins will finally run him out of bounds at the end of this play. It'll be a holding against Southridge. And this is something we talked about a little bit earlier. And this may be the reason why he had so much daylight when he hit the tackle slot right here. Managed to break one tackle on his own and then sprint across and by the defender, Tony Thompson, and find his way upfield. What he thought was enough for the first down. However, the holding penalty will bring the ball back, and Southridge is back inside, right at the 10-yard line now.
Then half the distance to the goal line penalty, and fortunately for Southridge, in high school football, where your talent is just developing, a 15-yard holding call deep in your own territory will devastate a lot of high school teams, and in essence is a drive killer. Not in this ball game, because these two teams can move the football. First down, call it 15 to go, and Young is going to throw. Trying to get the man coming across the center of the field and thrown too high as he was trying to hit Lee Smith.
It was Bo Reeves covering on the play.
Reeves is listed as a defensive end, although Woodham will play a pro 3-4 set. You'll have 2 stand-up ends as you take another look at it. Young, not so good in the drop-back passing department. That a little high right there. Better as a sprint-out guy.
First quarter stats, because Woodham with the football for most of that series had 12 plays, 69 yards rushing. 1 for 1 in the passing department, 9 for 59 for Southridge in the rushing department.
Second down, Young in trouble. Gets it back to the line of scrimmage, and that's it. Bo Reeves, who had 41 solo tackles and 25 assists coming into this ball game, makes the stop again. Watch this. Woo.
You ought to talk about a freight train hitting the end of the tracks here.
And Young could see it coming too.
Oh,
breaks the one tackle.
Get out the first aid kit.
Welcome to Pensacola, there, big guy.
Somewhere in there, we're missing 97 yards on the kickoff, I think.
Bo Reeves
on the stats. We'll get that figured in before it's over with.
Young on third down, getting pressure from behind, fumbles the football. Pensacola's got it. Touchdown, Triton.
breaks in a ball game of this magnitude, Dave Reed, and the defense for Woodham's Titans has come alive.
Arvester Burrell, the man who picked up the football, has his first fumble recovery of the year, but he makes it a big one, and Pensacola up by 2 TDs.
Watch the strip. Now, Young does a great job on the fake with the ball on the hip here, but watch the strip from behind. The strip from behind by KERRY Watkins, creating the fumble. The ball picked up and a point after good. We have a 14-0 ball game.
Fairchild boots it through. 9:09 to go in the second quarter, and lightning strikes quickly for Pensacola Woodham. A fumble recovery and a kickoff. They lead by 14. We'll be back to Pensacola. We'll go on.
Got a taste. The taste for living. Want the best and nothing less will do. Got a taste. And only Coke can match it. Want the best and I know Coke is it. Coke is it. The taste that's good forever. Coke is it. The one that's number one. Coke is it. There's no doubt about it. Coca-Cola, Coke is it.
Pensacola Imports introduces the 85 Audi. The shape of things to come has come. The 1985 Audis. Elegance and technology in another dimension. The perfect combination of design, comfort, performance, and efficiency. The art of engineering. The 85 Audis have arrived at Pensacola Imports. Discover the Audi driving experience. Discover the introductory savings, and discover Pensacola's best automotive value. The shape of things to come has come, and the 85 Audis are available now during the introductory sale at Pensacola Imports, 707 New Warrington Road.
5'11", 175-pound senior. This is why KERRY Watkins is a first-team All-State and a Division I prospect out of the corner. He creates the fumble. Arvester Burrell up with a football, a 6-yard run, and it's a 14-0 football game.
Mike Lewis, a new kicker in for Pensacola Woodham, gets set to boot it away. Jeff Fairchild, who is the normal kicker, injured his knee halfway through the season. This is his first start, and the knee has given him troubles. This will be Smith on the 1 hop. Smith breaks the hole, and Smith makes the best of a bad situation. He gets it down to the 27-yard line, and Southridge will take it over from that point. Bear in mind, the last time Southridge had the football, they drove it 79 yards before giving it away on the fumble.
It was Keith Smith against Smith. On the kickoff and the return.
So Pat Young has his work cut out for him.
And they're going to go with Al Darling now to see if Darling can get things fired up.
A better drop back quarterback. Darling at 6'2", 175 pounds, a senior. Gives it off to Roman Nelson, and Nelson's got a hole across the middle. Nelson, a 9-yard gain up to the 37-yard line. And Southridge again comes out smoking, moving the football well. Arvester Burrell on the stop for Pensacola Woodham.
Straight up as they find a quick hole. Looked like it was a bit of a busted play, but with the stunts, the hole was still there. Finally catching up to him, Scott Andrus from behind, 6', 190-pound senior.
Al Darling started the year at Miami Southridge quarterback before Pat Young took over halfway through the season. You see the measurement, they're about half a yard shy. So Southridge, on second down, will have less than a yard to go. Southridge will lose virtually their entire offensive starting unit this year. The only exception, Pat Young, who will return. That's one of the reasons they're so good this year, because all of these guys, the vast majority of them at least, started for the state runner-up team last year. Second down very short, and Darling plays it safe. Gets the first down to the 40-yard line. Talking to Jerry Hughes yesterday, the feeder system in Miami is kind of a different situation. The junior high schools don't have football programs.
No, they don't, and it's a little bit unfortunate for that, and you would think with the capacity of Miami, as they come in with a 12-1 record on the year, you would think with the capacity of all those junior high schools, that's where you're going to develop those prospects. But they have quite an interesting program. We'll elaborate.
Rodney Hunter breaks one tackle, tries to get it outside, runs into Arvester Burrell, fumbles the football, and who's got it?
Now the officials say they're going to keep it with Southridge.
Burrell really leveled him.
You have to watch the defense for Pensacola Woodham. It's a very aggressive, quote-unquote, Don Sharp, the head coach. It's called Blue Steel, but while the offense is on one side of the field and very passive, the defense goes wild for the most part. So we got a timeout.
Official timeout with 7:21 to go in the second quarter. A little bit of confusion on the field as Al Darling will go over and try it with Jerry Hughes. While he does that, we'll take this short break and return.
For Dr. Tom Oakner, whose temper kicked off every time his engine ran on, Gulf prescribes the gas with guts to help stop engine run-on. For David Garcia, whose diesel rabbit couldn't get hopping, the Gulf's green filters his fuel for starts quick as a bunny. For Arthur Harris, whose unleaded gasoline left him cold, there's Gulf's gas with guts with extra octane for quick pickups.
Gulf, everything we do makes driving better for you.
Think you can buy a new Chevy better? Well, Bob Salter wants you to know we've got the selection. Compare. Want to save on a new Chevy? Well, compare the price. You can't buy for less. And then after you found the car you want, at a price you want to pay, compare service. At Bob Salter Chevrolet, we're proud to be the only Chevrolet service supremacy dealer in this area and one of the few in the nation. Compare. Then be our guest. Bob Salter Chevrolet, Car City, Pensacola.
Jerry Hughes had some changes to make at Miami Southridge when he took over from Don Solinger last year. One of those changes was learning how to coach the offense. He had been a defensive coordinator all his life, and he said his assistant coaches helped him so much because they knew the offensive system that he really did not.
Exactly, and he said himself that he learned from his offensive coaches on how to be an offensive head coach himself.
Second down and 9. Pitch goes out to Roman Nelson. And Nelson is nailed before he gets to the line of scrimmage. Credit Preston Washington, who got the penetration and forced Nelson to alter his running pattern, and as a result, Nelson gets nothing. Actually loses a yard on the play.
Aggressive is the word with a capital A. You see the stunt coming right there from the corner, and then the lineman picking up and making the tackle. And as we started to say a little bit earlier, wild is the defense, passive is the offense for Coach Don Sharp. In fact, in the Lakeland game, before the defense could get out and warm up, they broke 3 face masks and had to hunt around for new helmets for 3 defensive ball players.
Roman Nelson again. Ooh. Preston Washington put one of those bike face masks right into the gut of Roman Nelson, and Southridge will have to put it away. Preston Washington, he along with Kerry Watkins, the best overall athletes on the Pensacola Woodham Ball Club, another 4'5", 40 guy, also Division I prospect. He had a big interception last week against Lakeland in the playoffs.
5'11", 175 pounds, 70 pounds, a senior. There's one of those Division 4-5 speed, another Division I prospect. Then you see the likes of Galen Hall and Pat Dyes who are on hand today to scout out.
Johnny Walker will come on to boot it away for Southridge. Punting is not one of their strong suits. And they'll just run that one out of bounds. Will Kerry Watkins. So Woodham stopped Southridge on that initial play. Watkins just runs it out of bounds, and Woodham with 5.5 minutes to go here in the second quarter will take it over their own 26-yard line.
I don't know how many times you've been asked over the last 48 hours who you felt was going to win this game. Somebody asked me, and I predicted that maybe it would be about a 17-14 football game going either way from the standpoint that both teams run well. They have speed in the backfield. But I think it's a little bit surprising that it's 14-0 right now with Pensacola leading.
If you look at the statistics, Woodham has the advantage, but you take away the kickoff and the fumble at the end zone, we got a 0-0 ball game here. Give us up the gut for little or no gain as Jeff Richardson is there for Southridge along with the linebacker Alex Garcia to wrap up Caesar Jones. Caesar Jones is a real story. This young man has had a pinched nerve in his neck all year long. He injured very early in the football season. You see Woodham's record, and they have really dominated their opposition. The winning margin better than 23 points a ball game. But Caesar Jones, very dedicated, played with that pinched nerve. We'll talk about that in a moment after the play. Second down and 9, Woodham. They break the bone this time as Hawkins makes the motion. Huge hole in the middle, and Jones breaks it through. And he's got a Woodham first down. Boy, there's a hole in the middle that you could drive a truck through. That was led by Messrs. Bobby Taylor, Chris Bromley, and Richard McGee up front for Pensacola Woodham.
You want to watch a man keep his feet and with great open field tackling after a great run. Noah Williams right here, a 5'11", 160-pound senior. Make sure that Caesar Jones didn't pick up another 15 or 20.
He does get the first down. Jones, as we talked about with the pinched nerve, would not quit practicing. He came to practice every day. He was in such pain that he was crying after practice, and Don Sharp begged him to quit practicing. He felt he was going to hurt himself, but he wouldn't do it. He's still playing with that pinched nerve today. Krasnowski, I think he was trying to get that one to Salisbury, and maybe somebody got a little bit confused in the backfield as Krasnowski is knocked down once again by Garcia for no gain. We talked about this signaling with the coaches as you take a look at Alex Garcia at 205 pounds. When you've got 4 different coaches signaling any one of 7 or 8 different signals to anyone, you can see it here, to running backs, to linemen, to wide receivers, the same play can look about 50 different ways depending on the blocking schemes and the route that the ball carriers are supposed to follow.
And it won't do you any good to try to pick up those signals because they'll do it a different way if you think about the time you think you've got their pattern.
Second down 8. Krasnowski pitches out to Salisbury. Salisbury turns the corner. First down, Woodham. If he can break it, he's gone. And he gets it down to the 45-yard line. Edmund Holloman on the touchdown-saving tackle of Salisbury. But Woodham moving the football and moving it well.
Well, you talk about Edmund Holloman is at 6 foot 155, 60 pounds. He's not only a headhunter, but he's a headhunter with speed. He's a track star when he's not playing football, and consequently he has that speed to go from one side of the field all the way to the other to make the stop on the play.
3:20 to go and a rolling clock in the first half. Krasnowski, again, they'll break the bones in 2 wingbacks. Salisbury in motion, busted plays. But they're going to make the most of it as Krasnowski ran into Jason Hawkins and still cuts it upfield for about 2 or 3 yards on the play before Preston Waters was there to bring him down for Southridge.
This is where you kind of wonder how well this splitting of with the lineman to the left, the backs in the middle, the quarterback out front of everyone, and the wide receiver way out to the right end. And as each one of these coaches give those signals, we asked Coach Don Sharp, of course, how often does the mix-up come? He said, not very often. You may run 100 plays and not get a mix-up, but sometimes in this situation, it can cost you more than it can pay off.
Second down, 5 yards to go for the Titans. Salisbury in motion far side. Krasnowski's going to throw, and he's got wide open, and he dropped it. White was back there, and he had Noah Williams beat by 2 or 3 yards, and White was on his way to another touchdown.
We mentioned in the first quarter, all year long, anytime they have touched the ball, they have caught the ball. However, Charlie White, I think, not only heard footsteps, but he was thinking 6 because he was well inside the 10-yard line, around the 6 or 7-yard line when he touched it, and not enough glue on the fingers. Couldn't get the fingernails in there.
Charlie White has caught 10 passes, just 10 all year long, but 6 of those have been for touchdowns. That could have been number 7 had he been able to hang on to it. Third down, 5 for the Titans. Again, the full half backfield. Krasnowski, first down, and a lot more. Krasnowski inside the 25 into the 24-yard line. Holloman had to come up to make the stop once again.
Tripped him up just enough so he could get some help. Holloman almost a shoestring try here. But again, the speed to try to get to the running back. Krasnowski is the kind of quarterback you like to have, not only a 60% plus passer, but he's gained over 700 yards himself on the ground this year.
Don Sharp says just a kind of a gutsy ball player, not a Division I prospect, doesn't really have the talent to play Division I ball, maybe not even small college ball, but he's a winner. Caesar Jones. Jones to the 10-yard line, and Woodham just putting gaping holes in the Southridge defensive line.
You know, any time that you have especially a high school running back, and it takes 4 or 5 people to run him out of bounds, even when he's only 5'9", although he's about 185, 190 pounds. If you take 4 men to try to put him out of there, to put him out of bounds, you've got yourself a winner in a guy like Caesar Jones.
Caesar Jones rushed for 421 yards in the regular season, 245 yards in the 3 playoff games. Minute 45 to go. Titans driving, 11-yard line their own. Salisbury. And Salisbury is pulled down from behind. by Patrick Ferguson, the left side defensive end at 6 foot 207 pounds. And Woodham considering the timeout, and they will do so. That's their second. 1:29 to go in the first half, and Woodham with a 14-point lead, looking to extend that to 21. We'll be back to Pensacola in just a moment. Don't go away.
To dribble from New York to L.A., you've got to have a dream.
Converse.
Converse, the official athletic shoe of the 1984 Olympic Games.
With Christmas so near, Direct has it from a very reliable source that the best gifts this year will be practical ones, like this space-saving Little Litten microwave oven with electronic touch control, variable power, and digital readout on sale for just $199.95. This compact Little Litten is just $169.95 at Direct, and the versatile Go Anywhere model with 10 power levels is on sale for just $269.95. Spectacular Litten sale prices, financing, and layaway available. 3 reasons why it's practically Christmas at Direct, 2911 North Halifax.
Don Sharp has lost but 1 game at Pensacola Woodham the last 3 years. That a 7-6 loss to Fort Walton Beach in the playoffs last year, a game they had won. 7-6 Fort Walton. Pensacola comes on, kicks a field goal, a dead ball foul after the play on Fort Walton. 5-yard penalty against the Choctaws. They missed the field goal this time, and they go on to lose it. And a chance for a second straight state championship last year.
It was nearly their nemesis this year as well.
Here goes Salisbury. Touchdown, Titans. Salisbury has his 12th touchdown of the year.
At a 6-yard touchdown run. This is the way you draw it up on the blackboard in the locker room as you get ready to run the play as it rolls along, and we'll take a look at it after the point after. Fairchild to do it, to attempt the point after.
Krasnowski will hold, snap, spot, it's blocked. Big number 44, Jeff Richardson, somebody missed him because he came through untouched. So Woodham fails on the conversion attempt, but with things very well in hand with 1:25 to go, the Woodham faithful very happy about what's going on.
Titan cheerleaders, a lot to cheer about this afternoon.
So 20-0, Woodham out in front of Southridge. And now if you're Jerry Hughes, you got a decision to make. You got 1:25 to go, depending on the field position that you take. Do you go ahead and try and make something happen here? Do you play it safe? Don't want to give the fumble away? What do you do?
Well, what you try to do is plug the gap of what's happening right here. You have great offensive linemen with speed who open that hole, and then a Salisbury-type runner who lunges forward. He doesn't just waltz through the hole. He lunges through the hole, picks up the momentum to get into the end zone. And, of course, at 20-0 halftime, you've got to score at least 1 touchdown in the next minute and a half.
Richard McGee, the key block on the touchdown. This is Lee Smith. Smith turns to the left side, 20-yard line, down to the 25, loses a shoe in the process.
I'll tell you what, he was trying to burn rubber, and he did. He just ran right out of his shoes that time.
So let's see what Jerry Hughes decides to do. 1:18 to go. Lee Smith, the slot back at 5'7", 140 pounds, also a senior, caught a big pass in last year's game, and I've been working on a railroad right beside Pensacola High.
Which side of the tracks are we on, the right side or the wrong side?
I wasn't going to say that. I really wasn't going to say that. I figured you get to it after a while. 1:12 to go here in the second half, and a capacity crowd on a beautiful day for football. 9 plays, didn't take long to get there, 4 minutes and 9 seconds. The one pass they threw was dropped, but they didn't need it.
It's an interesting situation. Instead of going with Al Downing, your drop back passer, you come in with your little scat back quarterback in Pat Young. So maybe he's going to try to pull a trick or two even with Young.
He's going to throw it. Young to the sideline, too high. Dwight George was there. George at only 5'6" himself. You can't throw it too high because he's not going to be able to get up there being that short. Tony Thompson, who has a brother Anthony on this Woodham Ball Club, on the coverage for Pensacola.
You were talking earlier about the feeder system in Miami. The feeder system is through an Optimist League. a football optimist league, a little bit larger than a Pop Warner type league. They do a very good program, says Jerry Hughes. Unfortunately, you don't have much control over it yourself as a head coach at the high school.
Young fake to Hunter, quick pass across the middle to Lee Smith. And Young unable to get the ball to his wide receivers. Unofficially, he's over 3 in a ball game.
And as we talk at halftime with the executive secretary of the Florida State Activities Association, it's volunteer people like the quarterback club here at Woodham, the Optimist people like down in Miami who put together a football program and try to feed a situation. These are the types of people, the volunteers, that help make all programs run throughout the state.
Back to the bread and butter, and Roman Nelson unable to do anything because Scott Andrus came off the bottom of the file along with Arvester Burrell to bring him down. Now 36 seconds to go, and Don Sharp wants timeout. He feels like he can put more points on the board. Southridge is going to have to boot it away. Southridge started out impressively on their own 20-yard line, drove it 79 yards, down to the 1 before they fumbled it away, and it looked like it was going to be an even-Steven football game, but 2 big breaks. Fortunately for the Titans, the big return at the beginning of the ball game by Watkins, the fumble, and the run into the end zone by Arvester Burrell. One impressive-looking drive, and there you have your 20-0 score.
In the first half of a football game, scoring as many points as you possibly can is not a considered piling-on situation. You've got to get as many points out ahead just in case the other team catches fire in the second half. We mentioned Fort Walton Beach. It was almost the nemesis for head coach Don Sharp this year. They only beat Fort Walton Beach in a 19-14 football game, which was a slugfest. And consequently, with a turnover situation, Woodham has not turned over the ball, and of course Southridge 3. There may be an opportunity here that Southridge is really on the downside. You might break away a punt.
Johnny Walker will go back to put it away for Southridge. High kick, and Woodham going to have good field position. They'll just let it drop. And it will take a Southridge bounce. That's going to be a good kick with a roll down inside the 26-yard line, caught the 27. So Woodham will have 19 seconds to try and do something with this thing.
There was no return on that time, Dave. Scott Andrews tried to block a football on the punt, and consequently, he nearly got to the ball. And I think that was the gamble and what Don Sharp was talking to the return team about. If we can, we're going to block it, stay in close, and possibly go for one quick touchdown or a couple of quick tosses to try to get that touchdown. Now we'll just go ahead, eat up the rest of the clock. There's only 10 seconds left in the first half.
And apparently they will not run this play. Don Sharp decides that 20-0 is a big enough lead. So that is the end of the first half. It has been all Pensacola Woodham. And a capacity crowd at Titan Field loving every minute of it. And you've got to feel very good for Don Sharp, a guy who last year lost a playoff game, a heartbreaker. Very much in the thick of it here. Stay with us. We're coming back with our halftime show right after this.
New Year's Day, January 1st, 1985. Join Tony Roberts and Fran Kersey when the Mutual Radio Network presents the 51st Annual Sugar Bowl live from New Orleans. The Tigers of LSU and the Nebraska Cornhuskers are live and on your radio New Year's Day. It's a gift to you from all of us at the Mutual Broadcasting System and our family of affiliates. May your holidays be filled with joy.
Christmas gifts for the big and tall man. Orton's. Top coats by London Fog. Orton's. Suits by Hart, Schaffner, and Marks. Orton's. Jackets by members only, and sweater vests by Thane. Orton's. You've known us by these other names all along, but you know us best as Orton's. Gifts for big and tall men. Orton's. Downtown and Cordova Mall, Pensacola. Welcome to the South's fastest growing auto parts chain. Welcome to National Auto Superstores. Welcome to an auto parts store that has everything for the do-it-yourselfer. Fast, friendly service, supermarket-style shopping, and clean, well-stocked stores. The lowest prices on the Gulf Coast on parts and supplies. And low prices on top-quality Valvoline oil, the oil that keeps your car running smoother longer. Welcome to a store that appreciates your business. Welcome to National Auto Superstores. We hope you'll visit us soon.
Halftime at Titan Field, Pensacola, Florida, 20-0 halftime score. A first half that has been all Pensacola. Southridge so far, Larry Ward, having not played the wishbone, unable to stop Pensacola Woodham.
You know, most of the coaches in the southern part of the state said what the main problem for Southridge would be was the fact that they hadn't seen a wishbone all year long, and consequently they may have that little tiny problem with the stunting. Once in a while, Woodham has miscued on this signals from the coaches. However, when they have miscued, they've turned it into a 4, 5, or 6, or 7 yard game, with the exception of one time. What I think right now the advantage is, first of all, playing at home, sleeping in your own bed last night, as it were, not traveling 800 miles, not getting on your first airplane flight. And I think right now maybe that's been the main key as far as the momentum goes. The other key here is that Southridge has been a little bit stymied by that tough up-front defense of Woodham. Consequently, too, although they were called for holding a little bit earlier, they got away with a little bit of extracurricular activity, let's say, when they played during the regular season in the southern part of the state. And they're not getting away with that today. So they've taken a little bit of that away.
Rams, they feel like if you have a good academician, you have a good football player and a good young kid as a human being. We continue our halftime festivities from Pensacola High School. 20-0 our score, a game that has been dominated by Pensacola. And, of course, we continue with all of our festivities here on the State 4A High School Football Championship game. We're looking forward to a good second half, and we feel like Southridge is, well, probably going to be able to get back into this football game if they're able to stop that Pensacola wishbone. Let's go down to the field and listen to the Pensacola Marching Band.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll probably kick our
From Pensacola, Florida, the side of the State 4A Football Championship. We'll continue after these messages.
Halftime festivities winding down here at Titan Field. As we get ready to start the second half, you can see the domination of Pensacola over Miami Southridge in yards rushing, obviously. Absolutely zero in the passing department for Miami. Pensacola not too much better. The key stat, I think, right here, Larry Ward, is that one at the bottom. The turnovers, 3-1, that led to 2 touchdowns.
Not only the turnovers, too, but there's another 5 minutes of possession in there that a lot of people don't stop and think and realize about. Of course, the opening kickoff, a 97-yard return, put the Titans up by a 7-0 score. Also, a drop pass would have put another 7 points on the board. This could have very easily have been a 27-0 halftime football game right now, had it not been for the drop pass at around the 6 or 7 yard line by the Titans.
I think now if you're Jerry Hughes, you found out that the defense that you put together to stop that wishbone is not doing so. Now you've got to start taking some chances. You've got to make the determination. Do we make some defensive adjustments to try and stop that? If we do, if we bring our cornerbacks in, if we bring our safeties in, it's going to free up that passing game that Pensacola can burn you on.
And what Don Sharp has to do, on the other hand, is remember that if Southridge rather comes out for an opportunity at the passing game, say they come out with Al Darling and they go to that drop back passing situation, he's going to have to realize or hold off on his stunts maybe the first 2 or 3 plays to find out if they're going to go into that type of football offense. Because if they do, he continues to the stunt, he's going to get burned from that standpoint.
Kerry Watkins began this game with a 97-yard scamper. Watch the block here by Salisbury, the guy out in front of him, number 20. Bang, that sprung it for him right there.
Then, of course, he broke a tackle of his own in the open field, simply sprinted out, and Sang Kim had no chance. He's a good little kicker, but does not possess the speed to catch up to a Watkins-type runner, and consequently, within the first 12 seconds or 5-6 seconds, it was a 7-0 football game.
That kind of set the tone for the football game, particularly if you're Southridge. You have just traveled 800 miles on an airplane. You come into a hostile environment, and the home team returns a 97-yard kickoff in the state championship game. Not only that was trouble, but when Southridge started moving the football, they moved it well enough, but they couldn't hang on to it in order to capitalize on their opportunities.
Here come the Titans with the Titans come up with a key situation where they are going to not only capitalize or pick up a fumble, but they'll also come along and make sure that they turn it over into a 6-point opportunity. And consequently, when the ball was stripped, it was picked up and ran in from about 5 or 6 yards by Burrell, and that ends up 14-0 football game.
The pressure, the defensive pressure by Pensacola at this point has not allowed Southridge to get into their offense. The Roman Nelsons and the Rodney Hunters have not been able to move the football effectively. They're running to the big guys up front. And here you see evidence of that right here. Now Southridge down deep in their own territory, and this is a key turnover because it led or resulted in the 6 points.
Watch the strip from the back. That's the key right there. No chance for Young to get a football for the pass off, and Burrell simply scoops it up and runs it into the end zone. Kind of reminds me of about 20-plus years ago when I picked one up like that myself. The only touchdown I ever scored in high school football.
As the Titans come back onto the field, this capacity crowd welcomes them. And I think J.R. Hughes right now has really got some decisions to make offensively. He's got to put that football in the air. Obviously, Don Sharp and his defensive people have found a way to stop the likes of Rodney Hunter and company. The defensive coordinator, Corky Newman, has done the job of keying on those two backs. So far, Southridge has been unable to capitalize on the times where they are keying. They have not been able to catch the football. 2 passes have been dropped and 2 have been overthrown.
Well, you keep in mind, and through 12 games, they're 12-0. They're giving up just not quite 85 yards a game on the ground. They're giving up just barely 63 yards a game, a little under 150 yards a game on the average from a defensive standpoint. In fact, one game this year against Washington earlier in the year, they allowed just 52 total yards in the football game. In fact, it was an 80-yard game against Mosley and Bel Air for Pensacola, an 80-yard total defensive thrush against their opponents, and under 100-yard games like that keep that total down.
Pensacola Woodham has had one sustained drive, and it resulted in this score by Sherman Salisbury. And again, the blocking up front, look at the likes of Bobby Taylor, Chris Bromley, Richard McGee, the center and the 2 guards respectively. They have burned Southridge up the middle and not necessarily on the outside.
But the strength of Salisbury, because somebody had him wrapped up on the interior of the line right around the waist, and he just broke it loose and went across the goal line for a score. It results in a 20-0 halftime lead for the Titans, the Pensacola Woodham Titans. And Southridge, to coin a phrase, has their work cut out for them here as we start the second half.
They do indeed, as Mike Lewis will trot on the field to boot it away, and Southridge drops back to receive. Jeff Richardson back there along with Lee Smith. Haven't seen a lot of Lee Smith tonight. That counterplay they have not run because so far Woodham has not provided them with the opportunity. They are keying on Nelson and Hunter, but not overly so. You're seeing the likes of Wiggins and Tony Thompson back here watching for that counter from Lee Smith. Richardson fumbles the football, picks it up, comes up the middle, he's got a big hole. Richardson has one man to beat. Richardson 40, 45-yard line. And Jeff Richardson, had he been able to hang on to the football a little bit longer, might have taken that one all the way. Scott Andrews grabbed him from behind by the ankles. Otherwise, it was 6 points. Bear in mind, that's a linebacker returning kickoffs here.
I'm not so sure that maybe the little fumble didn't allow the hole to open up, as it was a good blocking by the Spartans to open up the hole and get him upfield a little quicker.
Jerry Hughes has already made some changes. There comes a counter play. Lee Smith. They open up with a single back in the backfield, and they turn to Lee Smith on the counter play, and already a change in offensive strategy.
Totally different from the opening plays of the first half when they were running it up the middle, just off guard, left and right, keep pounding away, and consequently, what will happen here, I think we'll see a little razzle-dazzle from Coach Jerry Hughes.
Gain of 9 on a play, 2nd down and 1 Southridge. Again, the single setback situation as Nelson goes out as a wide receiver on the wing. They throw to Roman. Try to isolate him one-on-one. And Nelson has run out of bounds after about a yard and a half gain. That should be enough for the first down. Kerry Watkins over there to run him out of bounds. It is a first down for Southridge, 45-yard line at Pensacola Woodham. Let's go. So instead of seeing Nelson and Hunter for the first 2 plays of the second half, we see Lee Smith and Roman Nelson on the receiving end. Nelson's 7th reception of the year. Coming into the ball game, had received 6 for 68 yards and a touchdown. Bear in mind, this Southridge offense is one that averages better than 300 yards a game. This game's a long way from being over. Nelson, check it, Rodney Hunter. And Hunter runs into Scott Andrus.
Even when he's blocking down on one knee, just the strength of Scott Andrus, despite the fact he's only 6 foot tall. 6 foot, 190-pound senior. Down on one knee and being blocked, he still comes up with a tackle.
Gain of 2 on the play. Southridge, 43-yard line of Pensacola. Dwight George goes out as a wide receiver to one side. Again, they show the wing. This is Pat Young. Pitch out to Nelson. Nelson can't hang on to it and wisely falls on the football. Down at the 42-yard line.
You move out of your mold, your basic offense. You try to put in something a little bit different, although maybe you've used it once or twice during the year. Sometimes that can throw you off. That time it looked like on the option situation that Pat Young just delayed a little bit too long before he could get the ball out to the running back, and he was nearly tackled right there, and right at the last second just flipped it out, and consequently Nelson had a little hard time trying to hang on to it.
They go back to the slot eye, and Young on a roll. And down he goes. Mike O'Daniel and Jeff DeWeese combine on a stop. DeWeese, the number 2 tackler on the team, 50 solos, 40 assists. Brings down Pat Young, and again, Southridge is turned away.
If there's one thing you don't have to do, that's charge up this defense for Pensacola. They are charged all the time. There you see the fumble that was recovered play before last by Nelson. Now to come out the other way, and of course, Young is just swamped by 4 defenders.
So Watkins goes back deep to receive the kick from Johnny Walker. Walker will stand at his own 37-yard line, and here comes Pensacola on a rush. Short kick takes a bounce. Miami Southridge has not had the opportunity. Now it takes a big Southridge bounce, and some of the defenders weren't quite on the ball, and let's see where they spot it. Apparently down at the 1-yard line. So Southridge coming out of this one gets a good return, but are unable to move it, and Pensacola will take over, leading 20-0. 20-0 as Pensacola will start deep in their own territory. Krasnowski to the big fullback, Caesar Jones. And Caesar Jones runs into Alex Garcia and Preston Waters.
You know, if you're Southridge at this point, you like the fact that they're deep in their own territory, but what you don't like is the fact that they have been able to run against your defense the entire football game, and they have 5 more minutes of possession than you do. They can waste a lot of time, and with a 20-0 lead, if they float through the 3rd quarter, eating up most of that clock with a 20-0 lead, the chances are slim and none, and Slim just left town for you to try to catch up in the 4th.
2nd down, 9 yards to go, and again, Jason Hawkins runs into a brick wall of Joe Ziegler and Preston Waters. We talked about the changes Jerry Hughes had to make. He has made one. He's brought his defensive backs up. Now, admittedly, they're at the goal line, but those defensive backs are up 2 and 3 yards closer. That opens up a big hole for Charlie Krasnowski should he decide a quick little shot over the middle to the tight end, or maybe a back coming out of the backfield. They're going to be man-on-man with a cornerback back there. 3rd down 8. Big down for Miami Southridge. If they can stop them here, they get good field position. Krasnowski fakes to Jones. Pitch to Hawkins. Hawkins breaks one tackle. Hawkins down to the 10-yard line. He is close to a Woodham first down. It depends on where they spot it. Edmund Holloman ran him out of bounds, and let's see where they place it.
Well, they had to get to about the 12-yard line for the first down.
And they did not get there.
Looks like it's about a yard shy.
So Woodham will have to boot it away for the first time this afternoon, and that means we'll see Robert Hackett. Hackett, who punted 21 times during the season for a 37-yard average, had a long one of 53. He will stand in his end zone, and Jeff Richardson goes back in single safety for Miami Southridge. That's what it looks like to be a kicker. Hawkins, not a particularly good kick. And it takes a Pensacola roll. It rolls into Southridge territory, down inside the 40 to the 44. So the Spartans with decent field position.
One nice thing about playing on ground that's fairly firm. If the football will go just tip, that extra tip end over end, you'll pick up another 15 to 20 yards on a kick to add to your total. So you can kick it poorly and still come out with a good punt.
Southridge, easily the smallest team in terms of size in all of the 4A playoffs. Last week against Winter Park, they were outweighed by 30 to 50 pounds a man on the offensive line. This afternoon, they're outweighed by 8 to 10. Nelson is tripped up in the backfield.
Kerry Watkins.
And I believe he may have hurt the wrist. Watkins on the blitz. And Nelson tried to get by him. Watkins stuck the hand out there. And he is not getting up easily.
If you watch this, it's nearly just an arm tackle, and I'm not so sure that the knee didn't drive right into that arm. He hit him fairly hard, but he just had his arm out, and it whipped it around. He's okay under his own power, but he hurt himself for a moment or two. They're going to pull him out. Well, they have to bring him out for at least one play at this point.
Watkins is, as we said earlier, Don Sharp's idea of his finest athlete on the ball club. He is Division I prospect, as we indicated earlier, does so many things well. That time blitzing from the cornerback position. Second down, loss of 3 on the play. 13 to go for Southridge. They show slot right. Quarterback draw, Pat Young. And Young inside Pensacola Woodham territory, down close to a Southridge first down. And again, a little razzle-dazzle by Jerry Hughes to try and keep that Pensacola defense from keying on his two backs.
And it's Scott Andrews, left hand, who finally comes up with a tackle. The right defensive end who comes up with a tackle as he chases Young all the way across the field. Well, I take that back. Harvester Burrell came up with a tackle.
Dwight George is one wide receiver. Third down and a yard. And Young will sneak it up the middle and get it. In fact, had he been able to get out of the grasp of Robert Gaddy, who got him by the ankles, he may have gone all the way himself. Gaddy, 6 foot, 180-pound senior. So Southridge with a first down on the Pensacola 45.
Here's Robert Gaddy, 5'11", 180.
And, of course, Pensacola, like Southridge, will lose the vast majority of their offensive and defensive lines. However, Woodham will return their entire offensive backfield with the exception of Krasnowski. Pat Young again. And Young sneaking up for a couple of 3 yards. Robert Gaddy again on the stop in there for Pensacola Woodham.
Man again, let's go. Come on, now let's go.
So Southridge doing some things differently here in the second half. Roman Nelson, we have not seen a lot of. Jerry Hughes talking to his coaches up in the booth. Now, this is something interesting, as Pensacola does not put any coaches up here in the press box with us. Jerry Hughes subscribes to that notion. Second down, 7. Counter play. Smith. Smith with a hole on the right side. Smith trying to get first down yardage. He may have got there. Preston Washington on the stop. So that's twice we've seen that counter play. On the regular season, Smith rushed for 380 yards on that counter play and 5 touchdowns.
We talked earlier about how hard it was to bring down the running backs of Woodham. You see a Lee Smith like this, it took 3 to finally knock him down, and he was dragging one. He was dragging a tackler upfield. That looked like Robert Gaddy. Yep. He was trying to take Gaddy for a ride the rest of the way.
Sun breaks through once again. 4:45 to go in the third. First down, 10. Nowhere. Burrell is there. Also, Jeff DeWeese for Pensacola Woodham to bring down Roman Nelson.
A lot of time and a lot of effort spent in coaching high school football or any football as far as that matter goes, or sports. And we have an interesting comment from Coach Jerry Hughes' wife that we're going to tell you about in a moment after talking with her yesterday.
Gain of 1 on the play. 2nd down and 9. Young fumbles the football. Young picks it up, and down he goes. Mike O'Daniel, the man who finally fell on top of him. Southridge just having execution problems.
Well, totally Young's fault here. It looks like he's waiting so long for that back to get up, and the running back, they may be setting up too far in the backfield. He only had one chance to try to salvage the broken play. That was get the football and hopefully get back to the line of scrimmage.
Loss of 5 on a play. 3rd down, 14, Southridge. Pretty soon the Spartans are going to have to get something going. Young on a bootleg, rolling to the right side, has some running room, tries to squirt through for the 1st down, but he'll be shy of it. It gets inside the 30-yard line, and let's see where they'll spot it. About the 26-27, maybe.
Well, we were talking about how much time, and of course Jerry Hughes, now a head coach, spends a lot of time. His daughter was sick last week. He could only make it to the hospital a couple of times for 15 minutes each to see her because he was involved in getting ready for this game. Mrs. Hughes was telling us yesterday, said 17 years ago, Jerry Hughes asked her to get married. He said that football was his first love, and if she wanted to hop in the back seat and come along, how'd she like to get married? So 17 years later, they're in a head coaching job.
4th down, 6, Southridge will go. Young out to Rodney Hunter, and Hunter's got a 1st down. Hunter inside the 10, inside the 5-yard line, and down to the 4.
Now you find out where all that time and effort finally pays off, and Jerry Hughes puts a little schmazzle into it.
Rodney Hunter does not catch the football a lot, but when he has been productive. Better than 12 yards a catch.
Nice job by Young here as he reads the defense a little bit. Great fake for the running back, and even as short as he is, he manages to get it over the Giants to get it to Rodney Hunter. 26 yards, and Southridge knocking.
Inside the 5-yard line, Roman Nelson, 6-point Southridge. And the better than 500 that drove the 800 miles finally have something to cheer about. Roman Nelson, 3 yards out. Southridge is finally on the board. And Sang Kim will come on to try the PAT. Al Darling, the backup quarterback, will hold. Snap, spot, kick is up. Not pretty, but there. So Southridge, on a good-looking drive of better than 55 yards, gets itself on the board with 3:03 to go in the 3rd quarter. We got ourselves a football game with Pensacola out 20-7.
The football, but it's Luther Smith and John Mackey that kick open the door as he dives through for the first 6 points in the game. Sang Kim's extra point good. It's a 20-7 ball game. Pensacola leading. 3:03 left to play in the 3rd quarter.
This is a big defensive series for Miami Southridge. They've got the momentum. They line everybody up to the left side. And this will be KERRY Watkins. But bear in mind, 97 yards return to open the 1st half. He'll not get there this time, as he's run out of bounds by Joshua Bush, 6'1", 175-pound junior for Southridge. And Pensacola with him now on the heels of a Southridge drive that took 4 minutes and 17 seconds and a big 4th down play to Rodney Hunter to keep the drive alive.
And 2 plays prior to that 4th down play, miscues in the backfield. They turned it around, gambled on 4th and 6, decided to set it up, come up with a little schmazzle, as we said earlier, and Southridge stays within reaching distance anyway.
To the far sidelines, rocking and rolling as Caesar Jones is stopped after 2. Whatever defensive adjustments Jerry Hughes made is working, but you got to think sooner or later that Charlie Krasnowski's going to rear back and fire a little quick pitch to that tight end and open up that Southridge defense.
Well, I think Krasnowski has got to try to spread Southridge back out again. They're going back up the middle with their plain offense, but you're right. They need something to kind of get them spread back out.
They go to the wing. 2nd down 9. Krasnowski on the option play. Garcia was there to slow him down. turned him up inside, and Krasnowski gets a yard, and that's about it. Bernard Wooten finished him off at 5'9", 185 pounds, a senior. Now a big third down for Miami Southridge.
You know, I'm not so sure that maybe Jason Hawkins wouldn't be ready. And you talk about coaches on hand. Look at Division I prospects. The War Eagles are well represented.
Today is a coach's heaven because of the 3A championship tonight. Both Pat Dye, Galen Hall, and the other coaches on hand will be heading down to that championship game at 7:30 this evening. Third down, 5. Krasnowski turns it up the middle, and down goes Krasnowski. And Southridge seizing the momentum. Garcia, we seem to call that name incessantly, but he's been on a prolifera of tackles. You'll pardon that word.
Whoa.
Didn't think I could say that, did you?
I'll tell you.
So 4th down and 2, and Woodham to go ahead and put it away. It looked for a second that they might go for it, but on comes Robert Hackett to punt for the second time in the half, and back deep goes Jeff Richardson. Hackett will stand on his 20-yard line. And
now they're going to call a timeout.
Some confusion, as I don't think everybody got on the field. So Woodham calls a timeout and try and get things settled up. With 1:03 to go here in the third quarter. Now, Jerry Hughes has seized the momentum. He's found a way to all of a sudden break into this Southridge second, or the Pensacola Woodham secondary. He's got his team on the move. Now, Don Sharp has a couple of decisions to make. How do you get the momentum back from Southridge? You've been able to stop them so far, but in the second half, it has been all Miami.
Been all Miami Southridge, and you notice in high school football, you notice the coaches go out on the field. This is a rule from about 2 or 3 years ago that was changed. It's a rule that I like, especially on this level of football, where the coach goes out on the field. It gives him the opportunity, first of all, for a Don Sharp to settle everyone down if he can, or fire them up, if you will. It gives Southridge the opportunity to say, look, guys, as a collective situation, we've got 1:03. We want to get the ball back. We need a quick score if we can right away to get back into this ball game. It's a 20-7 football game right now. It's been all Southridge, and if they can keep the momentum, they're going to make it an even greater football game before it's all over with.
So Hackett. Southridge tries to set up the return. Richardson looking into a vicious sun. With a good return up to midfield. And Southridge has had good field position throughout most of this football game. Certainly here in the second half. The last possession started at their own 45. Now they'll start this one at the midfield stripe. You know, Jerry Hughes, talking to him yesterday, you asked him what he would nickname his defense. And after some thought, he said guts. And we're seeing some evidence of that guts here in the second half.
And the offense is beginning to show a little bit of that themselves now. Look at that.
Option play. Here goes Nelson around the right side. Turns on the afterburners. Gets a yard on the play as KERRY Watkins, who can match him step for step, drags him down.
You give up nothing when you have a KERRY Watkins in the backfield, as we said earlier, because of the speed that he possesses. He has that great running back speed and can catch up to people like Rodney Hunters and Roman Nelson here to keep him from swinging outside.
Gain of a couple on the play. Second down and 8 yards to go as we wind down here in the third quarter. Nelson breaks one tackle, falls forward for about 4 more as Robert Gaddy hit him in the backfield. Nelson gets a couple of yards, and that is the end of the third quarter. Southridge trailing 20-7, but having the momentum. We're in for a good fourth quarter. We'll be back. Dave Reed along with Larry Ward as we get set to begin the fourth and final quarter. And Jerry Hughes with a 12-1 record. The only loss to Miami Columbus on a freak play faces a very crucial 3rd down and 4 situation. Ball on the Pensacola 46-yard line.
He's not calling long distance, is he?
He's going to have a phone bill if he does. Matt Young on a rollout, looking for somebody to throw to. He'll not get the first down. And now Jerry Hughes has a decision to make. He gets about 1.5, maybe 2. So Southridge is going to look at 4th down and about 2.
Davey gambled early. It paid off. It resulted eventually 2 plays later in a touchdown.
They are going to go.
He might as well go. He has nothing to lose here but to go ahead and go for it.
You've got the momentum. You've got to hang on to it right now. Pensacola, if you give them the football, has shown the ability to move it, hang on to it for long periods of time, so you got to try it. Dwight George, wide receivers. to the near side. Slot I formation. Here goes Smith in motion. Pat Young. He's in trouble. Fires it across the middle, and Hunter can't hang on. Hunter was leveled by Clifford Wiggins. All 185 pounds of him. But look at the pressure on Pat Young.
They needed the pass, even despite the pressure, was a good and well-thrown pass. Hunter needed just a little bit more time and a couple of more inches to haul it in.
KERRY Watkins coming on the blitz for Pensacola, putting the pressure on Pat Young. Big turnaround here. Southridge got to try and hold him down if they're going to get back into this football game. Caesar Jones runs into Alex Garcia. Also Jeff Richardson there. We talked about the defense of Pensacola. They blitz somebody on every single play. They'll blitz at least one person, whether that be a linebacker, cornerback, safety, and sometimes they send as many as 4 or 5 guys at you.
Somebody is always moving.
And you never know where they're coming from, so if you're an offensive line, it makes the blocking assignment very, very difficult. Second down 8. Fake is to Jones. Krasnowski pitches out to Hawkins. He fumbles the football. And let's see who's got it. Apparently Pensacola's going to hang on. Garcia was in there grasping for it. I think Robert Marshall, number 82, was the man who came up with the football for Pensacola Woodham.
A big disaster if they turn it over at this particular point. With that much time left to go here in the fourth quarter. 10:04 on the clock.
Krasnowski and Cohorts look to the sidelines for the signals. They lose a yard on the play. Third down 9, Woodham. Again, they show the double wing. Here we go on a reverse. Charlie White. White does not get the first down, I don't think. Let's see where they spot it. They use that end around in situations just such as that when they see the defense keying on the wishbone backs. And White, I think, is going to be about a yard shy. Now what do you do if you're Don Sharp?
Preston Waters saves the day here, though Charlie White put on an exceptional move. He couldn't get out of the grasp of Waters. Down on one knee, comes up, stops him, and turns him over just enough to hold him shy of the first down.
Mike Shapiro trots out on the field for Southridge as there's a timeout with 9:23 to go, and Woodham out front, 20-7.
Dr. J and Dr. C for Coca-Cola.
2 out of 2 doctors recommend Coca-Cola. For symptoms of thirst due to intense physical activity. For advanced cases of thirst, real cola relief from Coca-Cola. I concur. A big, bold taste to really refresh you. 2 out of 2 doctors agree. No prescription necessary.
You know, I was a great basketball player when I was in college.
1 out of 2 doctors agree.
It's a state championship Saturday in Pensacola, and tonight the Escambia Gators go for their first Class 3A title ever. WEAR3 will carry all the play-by-play action on tape delay at 10:30 tonight as the 6th-ranked Gators take on unbeaten and 3rd-ranked Green Devils of St. Petersburg.
So join Jack Green and me, Dan Shugart, for all the action at 10:30 here on WEAR3, your station for the Florida State Championships.
Don Sharp has been known on occasion to be a gambler, and this is one of those. 4th down and 1. If they kick it, they put Southridge deep in their own territory, but they're going to gamble they can get the 1 yard. The full house backfield. Southridge has everybody up at the defensive line. Krasnowski, first down, Pensacola. The bread and butter of the wishbone play. Fullback off the left tackle, off the right tackle, that time left. Titans retain possession.
Edmund Holloman makes the stop, but it's a little bit late. He lunges forward, and up with the first down goes Pensacola.
Roy Seitz, a 4.0 academic student at left tackle. The man that made the key block to spring it. First down, Woodham. Krasnowski gives off to Caesar Jones. And Jones down to the 42-yard line. Gets about 3 on the play. Woodham will look at 2nd down and 7. Now you can feel the momentum beginning to change a little bit. A very big 1st down situation. 3rd quarter stats beginning to even up a little bit. Miami back into the ball game. Still trailing, but not by much in total yards. Time of possession fairly even in that 3rd quarter.
But I concur with you, as 1 out of 2 non-doctors agree, that things are starting to swing the other way now.
2nd down 6. Caesar Jones runs into Alex Garcia and falls forward for a couple of more. It'll be 3rd down and, well, a long 3, short 4. Haven't seen a whole lot of Jakes and Hawkins. It's been primarily Caesar Jones and Sherman Salisbury carrying the football this afternoon. All 3 excellent athletes, all 3 multi-sport people. They look to the sidelines on 3rd down and 4. Now line it up in a full house backfield once again. The shift to the wing, and Jones, the lone setback. Salisbury in motion. Give us to Jones. 1st down, Woodham. And Woodham would love to just chew up about 2 or 3 more minutes of the 7.5 we have to go in this ball game. The officials are going to call timeout. I said 1st down, but apparently that may not be the case. You're going to go ahead and bring the sticks on the measure.
Well, it's not much one way or the other.
I think on 4th down, obviously Don Sharp would go on it again. It is a 1st down.
They got a useful football length for a 1st down.
So Woodham, with 7:21 on a rolling clock, maintains possession of the football. They'll get 4 more downs. And Southridge right now just has to get the football back. Again, everybody in very tight. Salisbury in motion. Give us off to Caesar Jones. Jones off right tackle this time.
The exact same play that they ran for the 1st down, and they'll continue to run it until Southridge stops it, then they'll go to another side of the line.
Richardson on the stop for Southridge. Lamar Vale also over there for Miami. Multiple substitutions this time by Don Sharp. I don't know if you've noticed on the sidelines, the Pensacola sidelines, the offense and the defense stay about 4 or 5 yards apart as a unit. They don't even talk to each other.
Never the twain shall meet during a football game.
They concentrate on what they're doing, and they're just like 2 completely separate units. 2nd down 6. Jones, left tackle again, big hole. Jones, 1st down, 20-yard line, 19-yard line of Southridge. Caesar Jones has got to be approaching 100 yards in this ball game.
Very close to it, and you watch the move right about in the middle of this run. This is what you see a Division I prospect do. As he spins away and out of any potential grasp, gets by another man, had his blocker been out ahead of him just a little bit more, Bobby Taylor, he might have sprung him loose for another 10.
Krasnowski, up the middle it goes. This time Sherman Salisbury. Salisbury goes for about 4 more as Edmund Holloman brings him down for Southridge. Salisbury on the season rushed for nearly 500 yards in the regular season, and during the playoffs, over 150. That to go along with 12 touchdowns on the season for him. 5.5 minutes to go, and you can bet Don Sharp is just going to try and keep this thing on the ground and chew out as much clock as he can. Southridge so far unable to stop Pensacola. 2- and 3-yard gains. A little bit different set this time. Now they shift it out to the wing with Jones the lone setback. Jones fumbles the football, and Southridge has got it back. Southridge at the 17-yard line. Jeff Richardson, the man that fell on the football. And now this could be a big turnaround. Southridge is deep in their own territory. They do have 5 minutes left, however.
Needs some glue in there somewhere. He just couldn't quite hang on to it. Helping with it, of course, is Richardson himself. Trying to come up and advance it once or twice, but could not succeed.
5:04 to go, and Southridge has got to score twice. Slot I, fakes to Nelson, Young on a roll, turns out Rodney Hunter. 26 27-yard line. Let's pause 5 seconds so that stations down the line can identify themselves. This is the Lorimar Sports Network. Dave Reed along with Larry Ward. 4 minutes, 50 seconds to go. Southridge, their own 27-yard line, trailing 20-7. George wide out to the far side. Robert Johnson, your tight end. Pat Young gives off to Roman Nelson. Nelson avoids Andrus, and Nelson to the 30, 31-yard line, gets out of bounds to stop the clock. Gain of about 4 on the play. Second down, 6 Southridge. Pat Young has only thrown for 290 yards during the regular season, 6 touchdowns, however. And during the playoffs, he's only thrown 21 times for 86 yards, completing just 7 of them. Second down, 5 to go Southridge. Young, since Nelson is a wingback now, Hunter in the backfield. Fake to Hunter, Young, lots of time, looking downfield, he's got Johnny Walker, and Walker had 6 points. Johnny Walker, the tight end, at 5'7", 180-pound junior, has not caught a lot of passes this year, but that time had 6 points in his hands.
Had 1 reception on the year. Right here would have been probably one of the biggest of his entire high school football career had he been able to stretch it just a little bit more. It was there, really. It was a very catchable football. Just didn't concentrate right at the end of it.
So each team now has dropped a pass that would have been a sure 6 points. Third down, 4. Woodham will stay in a 3-4. Let's see if they send somebody this time. They won't. Young being pressured by Andrus. Now he's got time. Waves his receiver downfield. Trying to get to Smith, and that may be interference. Let's see. Yes, it is. They're going to call interference on number 42, Preston Washington. They're going to say he came over his back. And Southridge will stay alive with this one. Good call.
And it's interesting how an official in front of the play makes the call, and the guy that's only 2 yards behind or 3 yards behind doesn't. Whether the other official saw something or not, the ball was, it looked to me like past the receiver when he bumped it, but we'll see. Young waves, lets it fly. Now if we can pick it up or not. No, it wasn't past the receiver.
No doubt about it. Defensive interference, good call by the official. Southridge alive at the 46-yard line on the 15-yard penalty. But time running out on him. 4 minutes, 14 seconds to go. Bear in mind a quick score and an onside kick. Could make this a tight one. Young wrapped up at the line of scrimmage, and he's forced to just eat the football. Andrus was there to get the penetration initially, forced him out, and Arvester Burrell, the big 225-pound senior, was there to finish him off.
Preston Washington got a little hand in there too, number 42.
So Robert Marshall, we should say. I got it right. Robert Johnson brings in the play for Southridge. A lot of Roberts out there. On second down at 12.
As bad as all the Freds we had at halftime.
Lee Smith in the slot. George is a wide receiver. Now Nelson moves on a wing. Second down and 12. Young intercepted by Pensacola. Jeff Deweese. It went through the arms of a fellow defender right into his waiting arms.
This looks like, it almost looks like something out of the NFL highlights, the way this turns out. The defense goes wild. Robert Gaddy tipped the ball right into the hands of a waiting Jeff Deweese.
So Woodham just needs to hang on to the football for a series. And that may do Southridge in. 3 minutes to go. Caesar Jones with a big hole up the middle. He's got a first down. Fumbles the football, and Southridge has got it right back. And run out of bounds is number 44, Jeff Richardson. But let's see, they may call that ball down. Hang on a minute. Woodham defense coming back out on the field, so apparently it will go to Southridge. Yes, it will. So Southridge gets it right back.
It was interesting to note when you take a look at that. When you take a look at that Caesar Jones was being packed in the air. I'm not so sure somebody just didn't steal it out of his hands. So look, he's completely off his feet going through the air, and it got kicked out right at the last second and picked up by Richardson to return it for a few yards. Southridge back in business.
It looked to be Preston Waters, the man who knocked the ball away. Slot to the right side. Young being pressured. Down goes Young. And again, the blitz from KERRY Watkins. That blitz has spelled doom for Southridge in the fourth quarter. You don't know where they're coming from. You can't block them. And KERRY Watkins has a host of tackles, and Southridge calls timeout. You can feel the excitement starting to build here in Pensacola as they sense a state championship. 2:34 to go, and Southridge trying to get back in it, trailing. This broadcast is being brought to you by the Lorimar Sports Network, and any copying or use of this broadcast without the express permission of the Lorimar Sports Network is prohibited. 2:34 to go, and Southridge trying to find some way of getting into the end zone. The counterplay to Lee Smith has been effective, but you're so far down right now, I don't know if you can afford to run the football. So far, Pat Young has not had time to throw. Woodham shows the blitz. Smith comes in motion. Young rolling right, looking for somebody to throw to, and Young's going to be run out of bounds. Andrus runs him out of bounds as Pat Young gets a decent gain on the play, gets 4 or 5 yards, but Southridge is going to need more than that with 2:27 to go. Pat Young is only 5'6", but he'll be back next year, of course, and a Doug Flutie type indeed. As you see the rollout, he looks like a Doug Flutie, but right now he's not having the success. As I recall, he's completed but 2 passes this entire football game.
2 passes in the game, just over 40% on the year. Even though he hasn't thrown that much, he just has not been, he's not big enough to be accurate enough the way it's turned out a couple of times.
3rd down 8. Southridge has got to hang on to possession at this point. Andrus pressuring Young. Young fires it down in the direction of Lee Smith. A one-hopper. I'll tell you, Young is just not getting the protection from the offensive line of the Spartans. Andrus has been in there, and Arvesta Burrell has been in there the last 3 plays.
And you know, it's almost like it's a delayed rush that's being put on. Like they take about a half a count before they'll rush in and go for it. Even though they've got some type of stunt on every play, Young is looking. Right now, he's not too bad a shape. Then on comes the rush. On comes the defense from Woodham, and they really come up. Scott Andrus chases him around. Likewise, in the backfield is Michael Daniel, and they finally catch up to him.
2:16 to go in this one. There's a timeout on the field, and we'll be back to finish this one off on the Lorimar Sports Network. It all comes down to this. Southridge is going to stay in it. They've got to convert on 4th down and 9 at their own 39 with just over 2 minutes to go. Fake to Nelson. Pat Young is going to try and get it on his own, and I don't know. It looked as though his knee did not get there. It's a matter of where they spot it, and
no, he did
they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it.
It's about a yard shy of it. Now, he slid past for the 1st down, but his knee went down about a yard before the stick.
They're going to bring the sticks out, but he's going to be about a half a yard shy. Yep. And apparently Pensacola Woodham on their way to the 2nd state championship in 3 years. 2 minutes, 8 seconds to go. We better not be too premature because the last time they had the football, they fumbled it right back to Southridge. But I think if I'm Don Sharp, I'm going to give it to Charlie Krasnowski and have him fall on it at this point.
You're going to try to have him fall on it or get 2, 3, 4 yards of crack, run it 3 plays, get a 1st down, and just eat the clock up the rest of the way.
They give it off to Jones, and Jones is on his way. Jones stopped inside the 20-yard line by Edmund Holloman, but that will put the nail on the coffin.
There was nobody on the right side to keep the door closed, and once he got through that line, it was wide open for about 20, 25 yards on the run. There was nobody in the secondary on the right side. One lone back as they were trying to jam up on the line, finally caught from behind right around the 20-yard line.
And the fans down below us are passing out the bumper stickers that say Pensacola Woodham, 1984 state 4A champs. Jones off right tackle. Gets maybe a yard on the play before he's thrown back by Bernard Wooten. But it's all academic at this point as the clock continues to roll, and Jerry Hughes will not call timeout to try and stop it. I'm not sure he has any to give anyway.
You have to tip your hat to Jerry Hughes and the class type of individual and the class type of people that his football team and his program are.
50 seconds to go, and Woodham on a 2nd down and 9. But right now it's all meaningless as Caesar Jones will go forward to the 15-yard line. You got to feel sorry for Miami Southridge. Last year they lost a heartbreaker to Bradenton Manatee on a call that could have gone either way. It was 4th and 6 with 6 seconds to go on the Bradenton 6-yard line, and they couldn't get it in the end zone. This year they come back with another state championship contender, but this time they have to come away from home to Pensacola, and apparently they will go away state runner-up once again. Pensacola, on the other hand, after a state championship in 1982 and a heartbreaking loss last year, looks to be the best team in Florida once again, albeit one of the smallest schools size-wise in the entire Florida High School Activities Association. So with 30 seconds to go, Watkins! Southridge uses their last time out.
Get KERRY out here!
And Don Sharp says, get KERRY out here. That means, of course, KERRY Watkins. And you can feel the excitement starting to build. Stands starting to empty, and students and parents and booster club members who have waited for this vindication, if you say, because of the heartbreaking loss last year, start to file out onto the field. And a very sad situation for Miami Southridge, who brought some diehard fans with them 800 miles away, and we're going to go away runners up again. But certainly hats off to Jerry Hughes and his fine Spartan Ball Club for an inspired football game and another superb football season. And that could very well be the last play of this football game. Don Sharp is going to be carried off the field. There's a big sign that says Titans win the state, and Jerry Hughes disconsolate, and Don Sharp is going to have his 2nd state championship in 3 years. 3, 2, 1, Pensacola wins it. Pensacola 4A champions, and a well-deserved championship for Pensacola Woodham under Don Sharp. Somewhere down in that mass of humanity, Larry Ward is trying to find Don Sharp. We hope to be able to talk with him in a post-game interview to find out his feelings on winning his 2nd state championship. And the tradition at Pensacola Woodham continues. In the last 15 years, this ball club, this program, has been 129 wins, 13 losses, and 2 ties. An amazing record. And a tribute to Don Sharp, not only to Don Sharp, but to football all across the panhandle of Florida. We mentioned the 3A championship being played tonight, and the 2A and the 1A championship being played within the 3-county area. Football in the panhandle is very definitely alive and well. For Jerry Hughes and Miami Southridge, well, another year turned away, but certainly nothing to be ashamed about. Last year, of course, we mentioned the loss to Bradenton Manatee, but in 1979, they were the Section 4 champs, and they lost to Merritt Island 21-20 in another loss in the last few seconds of the ball game. So it doesn't seem that the luck is on the side of the Spartans, but you can bet that Jerry Hughes and Mike Shapiro and all the folks at Miami Southridge are going to be bringing this ball club back next year to challenge for the state championship once again. And what about Pensacola Woodham? Well, a program that is established under Don Sharp. Don Sharp very happy to be here. It indicates he's not going anywhere, and he will be the coach here at Pensacola Woodham for some time to come. Statistically, Pensacola would have dominated, particularly in the rushing category, outgaining Miami by about 100 yards. First downs were fairly even, but time of possession definitely favored Pensacola Woodham. The turnovers, of course, big ones for Miami. 2 led to touchdowns, and that turned out to be the difference in the ball game. The KERRY Watkins 97-yard return and the fumble recovery by Arvester Burrell. Time of possession, well, you can't score if you don't have the football, and Pensacola kept the ball away from Miami very, very well, hanging on to the football 10 more minutes than did the Southridge Spartans. And that was the story of the ball game, the ability for Pensacola, or of Pensacola, to hang on to the football, to move it against Miami Southridge whenever they needed to, and that was the difference in the ball game. 20-7, our final score. Stay with us. We'll be back to talk to Don Sharp right after this 60-second local break on the Lorimar Sports Network. So another high school football season has come and passed, and it certainly had its memories not only for Pensacola and for Miami Southridge, but for high schools all around the state of Florida under the direction of the Florida High Schools Activities Association and the governing body that sanctions all of these activities. Great, great way to develop young kids, and certainly no question that the people that participated in this ball game, well, represent probably the best in terms of football players as well as academians. Let's go down to the field to my buddy Larry Ward.
Well, I tell you what, Dave Reed, Coach Don Sharp has already gone with the Pensacola Woodham Titans into the dressing room, and probably rightfully so, because they got a lot of celebrating to do. But as you can see around me, there's some awful happy fans who are #1 in the state of Florida, and they're loving it. They are enjoying it. What can I say? Bye.
I'd say get out of there before you get yourself killed, Larry. A bunch of very happy Pensacola Woodham fans, and rightfully so. And, of course, with the loss last year, everybody felt that Pensacola was going to come back and win the state championship last year. They didn't, but they came back in grand style this year on the legs of Charlie Krasnoski and the legs of Caesar Jones and Jason Hawkins and Sherman Salisbury, all of which will return next year for Pensacola Woodham. However, the offensive line, the Hogs as they call them, everybody except Chris Bromley will be leaving, and so Don Sharp is going to have some rebuilding to do at Pensacola on the offensive line to try and maintain the style of excellence that he has continued here at Pensacola. And for Jerry Hughes, well, another season. The senior executive producer of Lorimar Sports in today's telecast was Russ Potts. Executive producer Keith Samples. Coordinating producer Jimmy Rayburn. And very ably produced by our friend John Lou. Associate producers John Humphrey and Dave Olmstead. And technical director Donnie Wright. And a great bunch of people who came over to do a super telecast for us, working under adverse conditions. We hope that you have enjoyed it and that you'll stay with us all year long on the Lorimar Sport Network. Our final score, 20-7, Woodham over Miami Southridge. And we hope that you stay with us, because we're going to come back with one final word as we continue on the Lorimar Sports Network. Stay with us. Woodham is the state 4A championship. A very winded Larry Ward has returned back to the booth alive and well, I'm happy to report. And I know down there, having experienced, you can imagine some of the fans down there are a little rowdy, huh?
Did it look as bad as it felt while I was in there? Tell you what, Mike saved my neck, because I thought for a moment I was going to get locked in and be carried away in celebration all the way to downtown Pensacola there for a moment.
Well, Don Sharp, a very happy coach, of course, and he took off the field very rapidly because he's going to be followed around. Some action, the interception, and this is the one that kind of sealed the fate for Southridge. They weren't able to move the ball effectively after this.
Robert Gaddy does a great job of tipping the ball. There's the old tip drill, and Jeff DeWeese follows up to take it the rest of the way downfield. And you're right, it kind of sealed it, because really in the second half, Pensacola Woodham did not have the momentum they had, near the momentum they had in the first half of the football game, and they led it 20-0. If you go back and you take away some of the breaks that they had, this could have been easily a 7-7 ball game at the end of regulation.
I think you have to credit Jerry Hughes for making the defensive changes that did shut down Pensacola Woodham. Woodham outgained them by about 70 yards in the first half. In the second half, it was very, very even, and the defensive adjustment shut down Woodham, and the offense got going also.
It got going, and in fine form, too, and you have to remember that the Southridge Spartans are the type of football team and the type of people who have not given up all year. They lost in the mud 7-0, the one game all season, but they came back strong, went right through the playoffs, and sailed right into this championship game.
Right on indeed, as Pensacola Woodham, the state 4A champs. We'll be back to close this one out right after this 60-second local break on the Lorimar Sports Network. The celebration will go on into the night and certainly the rest of this afternoon. And, of course, another championship game being played tonight that many of these fans will go over, Escambia and St. Petersburg. But right now it's time to savor this victory if you're a Woodham fan and maybe think a little bit about next year. But certainly under Don Sharp, I think the program is in very good hands.
And I also think under Southridge, the Spartans, there's no question in my mind that Jerry Hughes has a handle on things there. His inaugural job as a head football coach in a first full season takes Southridge to the finals. They have nothing to be ashamed of, neither do the Southridge Miami people. They ought to be pretty proud of their football team, and I think you're going to see the type of football team change just a little bit under Jerry Hughes for next year, and there's no doubt in my mind that with the type of talent that he has in his underclassmen, he is going to come back and probably be right in the same spot again next year. And as for Don Sharp, 2 championships, 3 years, you know that program's going to be at the top, despite the fact they're going to lose a lot of seniors on both offense and defense, because he's the type of person that the players want to play for him. They want to dedicate themselves. They don't fool around in class. They get good grades. They stay eligible, and they stay on top of things. So both programs have a lot to be proud of. And certainly, again, Southridge came a long way to play this football game and did admirably well, I think. Even though the score is 20-7, the game was theirs in the second half.
And I think Jerry Hughes has an awful lot to be proud of. And certainly not only these 2 programs on the upswing, but high school football all around the state of Florida on the upswing. You're seeing more talent. The University of Florida this year, number 3 in the country. Florida State, a good ball club.
Exactly.
And the type of talent that is being negotiated here in the high schools is feeding the colleges and providing a good quality caliber of football for all of us to enjoy.
And if you like to do a little two-step or a little line dance, there it is for you in Woodham. And they'll be dancing in the streets all over the place throughout most of this evening. We've really enjoyed the great hospitality, I want to add, from Don Sharp, Jerry Hughes, their athletic director, with Don Sharp being the athletic director, the principals of these schools. Certainly